There's a moment that happens almost every single day, in almost every office, every party, every family dinner. No one ever talks about it because no one can quite explain it. A certain kind of person walks into the room. They don't raise their voice, they don't take up space, they don't try to be noticed. And yet, somehow, everyone notices anyway. The energy shifts. People sit up a little straighter. Someone fills a silence that didn't need filling. This is the moment we're breaking down today, one sign at a time, until you understand exactly what's happening beneath the surface. And by the seventh sign, you'll realize this isn't a flaw at all. It's something else entirely. Psychologists have a name for what's happening, but the name isn't the interesting part.
The interesting part is why it happens, and it has almost nothing to do with what the introvert is doing. It has everything to do with what the room around them expects. Most people are running on a set of unspoken social rules. Rules about noise, about warmth, about predictability. When someone doesn't follow those rules, not out of rebellion, but simply because their wiring is different, the room doesn't know what to do with them.
That confusion gets a name. It gets called intimidating. But that word is hiding something, and we're about to find out what. The first sign starts with something as simple as a pause. For an introvert, silence isn't empty. It's productive. It's where the real thinking happens. But here's what almost nobody realizes. For a lot of people, silence isn't neutral at all. It's uncomfortable. It triggers something close to real anxiety, an itch that has to be scratched by noise, by words, by anything that fills the space. So when an introvert sits in comfortable quiet, the people around them don't experience peace, they experience pressure, and they usually blame the wrong person for creating it. Here's the second sign, and it's one almost nobody sees coming. In most social groups, drama isn't just noise, it's information. People gossip, react, overreact, because it signals something. I'm predictable. I'm readable. You know exactly where I stand. An introvert who refuses to engage in that theater isn't trying to seem superior. They're simply not participating. But without that constant stream of reactions, they become an unknown. And unknowns, to the human brain, never feel neutral. They feel like a risk that hasn't been assessed yet. Third sign. Most conversations start with a kind of social handshake. Small talk, safe questions, low stakes. It's a ritual that lets two people ease into trust before anything real gets said. But introverts often skip straight past it. They ask the real question, the one that actually matters, far too soon for comfort. And the person on the other end isn't ready. They feel like someone walked past the formalities and looked directly into a part of them they hadn't opened yet. At first, it doesn't feel like connection. It feels like exposure. The fourth sign shows up in a crisis. When something goes wrong, a deadline collapses, an argument breaks out, an emergency hits. Most people expect a mirror. They want to see their own panic reflected back at them because that's how they know someone understands. But an introvert in crisis often does the opposite. They go quiet. They go logical. And to someone who needs emotional mirroring to feel supported, that calm doesn't read as strength. It reads as something colder, something almost like indifference. That read is about to be proven completely wrong. Fifth sign. Introverts tend to notice things, a shift in tone, a pause that lasted half a second too long, a look that crossed someone's face and disappeared just as fast. This isn't a superpower. It's simply how a quieter mind processes a room, because it isn't spending energy generating noise of its own. But being watched that closely, even silently, even kindly, feels like being evaluated. Most people have never sat across from someone who notices everything and says nothing about it.
it unsettles them, even when absolutely nothing is wrong. Sign number 6. Some people hand out warmth freely, to everyone, immediately. It's how they build rapport, fast and wide. An introvert often does the opposite. Their warmth is real, but it isn't automatic. It has to be earned, slowly, through trust rather than time alone. To someone used to instant friendliness, that filter can feel like rejection. It gets labeled arrogance, elitism, coldness. But what's actually happening underneath is closer to the opposite of all of those things. And that's exactly where this story is about to turn. And now, the 7th sign, the one that ties every other sign together. Somewhere along the way, most of us learn that approval is currency. We perform for it. We adjust for it. We measure ourselves by how much of it we're getting on any given day. An introvert who doesn't chase that approval isn't just unusual. There's something the social world simply doesn't have a tool for. You can't pressure someone who doesn't need your validation. You can't manipulate someone who was never seeking your applause. And when people meet someone like that for the first time, something in them recognizes almost instantly that the usual leverage doesn't work here. So here's what's actually been happening this entire video. Every single one of these 7 signs has the same root. It was never really about silence or bluntness or calm or boundaries. It was always about control, or more specifically, the loss of it. People don't call someone intimidating because that person is cruel or cold or arrogant. They call them intimidating because they've met someone they cannot read, cannot predict, and cannot easily influence. In a world built on subtle social leverage, that kind of person is genuinely rare. If any of these 7 signs sounded familiar, if you've been called intimidating or distant or hard to read, sit with this for a second. That reaction was never really about you. It was a mirror held up to someone else's need for control. And the fact that you didn't hand it to them isn't a flaw. It's the entire reason you unsettled the room in the first place. If this gave you a new way to see yourself or someone in your life, let me know in the comments which sign hit closest to home. And if you want the next video the moment it drops, subscribe now, because we're going even deeper into the psychology of the people who never perform for the room.